to 5 Seasons of Waiting. My name is Simone Baldwin, executive producer of this project, and I'm so excited that you returned to this third episode. This week, we're going to talk about the fall episode, facing naysayers, facing distractions. So far, if you've seen the other episodes, you've seen the first episode, which is spring, when they chose to make that decision of waiting, and then the summer when they are staying focused on that decision. But today, we're going to talk about the fall. Naysayers, distractions from onlookers, or sometimes it's even yourself questioning the decision that you made. Sometimes you're just so focused on your journey, and sometimes that weight can just be cumbersome. I can testify to that. These individuals are going to share with you their experiences. So get a snack, get a good beverage, get a little kiki, invite your friends over, and let's get to fall episode.
Listen, this is what I always say. You know, other people's opinions are their own. Their opinions are a byproduct of how they live their life, their values, their beliefs, their perspectives about the world, and that's okay for them. But what's important for me is to frame my life in a way that works for me. And so there are a lot of people that say, especially men nowadays in the dating area, the dating sphere, that say, you know, I would never get with someone that chooses to wait, and that's okay. That's okay for them. But I'm like, all I need is one person. All I need is one that sees the value in doing it in the way that is in alignment with my goals and my values for myself. And so, you know, I'm like, if you choose to do it your way, that's fine. But I get to choose to do it my way. And if it doesn't work for you, then you can make a choice to not be in a relationship with me, and that's fine. And so I just ignore the haters, I ignore the naysayers, and I just keep living my life. I keep living my life, and like I said, all I need is one, and that's all that matters.
Well, I truly believe that all of that is their problem. I have no problem that they feel that way, but it doesn't affect me. Because I know who I am and whose I am. If they have a problem with what I do, how I live my life, what I believe, that's clearly their problem. And that's not the person for me.
For the most part, I handle naysayers by limiting conversation. I mean, most of my friends are very supportive, and we're kind of in the same boat. But for people that are not supportive, it's not worth having the discussion if I know that they don't agree with it, and they're gonna try to talk me out of it, because I'm doing this to honor God. This isn't something that I necessarily, I don't wanna say I don't wanna do it, but I mean, I'd rather have somebody than to be waiting. So for me, I want to wait the right way. I want to wait the right way. So I don't want people to try to talk me into compromising my standards. So I limit conversation.
Oh man, it used to bother me before about the naysayers. I learned in life, people are going to say things about you, whether you be doing good or bad. But I don't need anyone else to confirm. I don't need anyone else's seal or stamp of approval. I mean, it's okay as long as I'm staying focused on creating a better me. I could honestly care less about what other people say or feel, as long as I know that I'm on track. It used to bother me before. I used to try to be the people pleaser, but even in that, you're not going to please everyone else, and then you come out sometimes on the short end of the stick. So why not? My life is not a social media. I'm not doing anything that I do. I don't do it for everyone to like me or to check me off. I do it. I want to please God first and foremost, and I want to be happy at the end of the day.
In this life, unfortunately, you will have people that just will be naysayers, haters, as we call them. You're gonna have people that's just not gonna totally believe or agree with everything you do in life. I'm learning, and I've learned this quick on my journey as my wife transitioned. You really have to live your life to what God is telling you, and you also have to pursue it in that direction. And you also have to hear what the Lord is saying, and then join your thoughts with His thoughts, and they become one. And he really, what that birth is, a desire. Like sometimes, many times, most of us got desires towards certain things. When we're working with God, when you're saved, when you're saying, God, what's your will? And that's that thing that just burns in you, like I can't sleep it off, cough it off, or dream it off, whatever the case may be. It's like that's there, that passion, that you become in agreement with that, then you pursue that. Now, some people may not agree with what you're doing because, again, as I'm learning myself, I'm learning things, skills, talents that I have, anointing that God has bestowed upon my life. So to get people to agree with me on life, even at dating, who I date, or whatever, that everybody's not going to agree. Unfortunately, some people are just not going to feel the vibe of what you're doing. I think your first, as a man, my first thing is my peace, not nobody else's peace. My peace is important to me and not anybody else's at the moment. That has to be a selfish stand, because so many times we live for other people's peace, what they think, what they feel, and at the end of the day, you're the only one sometimes miserable because you made everybody else happy with your decision and you're the only one not. So I think we have to back the train of self-love, self-care, make sure that I'm okay. My decision, I believe to the best of my ability that I made this decision based upon, doing my background, doing my homework, doing enough investigation. It's not what you expect and what you inspect. Inspection on my new wife or girlfriend or however the fiance. And I've done everything I know to do. Trusting God to hear from Him at night. Lord, talk to me. If she ain't the one, I did it with my first wife, Pastor. We prayed a lot. Lord, she ain't the one to show me. And I'm okay. Some people don't want to be shown the truth. And so therefore they'll never pray those kind of prayers. They want to say, I don't want to hear it. I'd rather just be blind. And love is not blind, by the way. Love is very well God. God is love. Love is God. People are blind, not God. Love is never blind. It wants to show you the way. But sometimes we don't want Him to show us because we're afraid of what we may see. And that's unfortunate. So with that being said, naysayers, don't put too much attention on what people say and think. People are going to have their opinions about you, whether you are doing well or whether you are not doing well in life. So it's best to do what you can, be at peace in your heart, and then let them that think what they may, and just kind of know who your friends, your circles are. Keep your naysayers; they're going to be there. I believe they're relevant. I believe God wants to one day raise you up in the things you're pursuing, just to show your naysayers. Just like the Bible talks about that He'll set a table before you in the presence of your enemies. I think your enemies are those naysayers. They need to see you doing well. They need to see you doing, like, breaking the mold of what they thought you wouldn't succeed at. And they thought you wouldn't make relationships. Some of you get married, people go, they're not going to make it. Now you're 20 years in, 15 years in, 10 years, because you went with what you felt. You blocked them out, and you still boldly move towards your goals, and hit God, confirming to the naysayers that, hey, this was of God all along.
We can agree to disagree. That's something that I have learned over the years, and I wasn't always this way. I definitely was a people pleaser, and I cared what everybody thought and what they said, and now I'm a God pleaser. And I'm just thankful, because over the years God has just given me so many nuggets of wisdom, and now I'm able to I'm seeing just the growth from when I was younger to now, and it's great. But now, because there are people in your life, family, friends, who I respect their opinion, but now I don't let their opinions validate what I know God has told me. And that's truly big for me. And there's actually an affirmation that I speak over myself every day. Your approval means nothing to me. And that comes from John 5:41 from the New Living Translation. I speak that every day. And it's really helped. There are times, being transparent, when someone says something and it does sting me a little, and then I have to go back to the word, like, well, what did God say about that? Don't focus on them. Focus on what God said. You live in this world, you are not of this world, so a lot of times the way they think is more worldly, and because I'm working on becoming a kingdom woman, just my perspective on things change. So I don't let what they say get to me, because it just doesn't anymore. I'm just thankful.
naysayers that don't understand my choices are always going to be around. Just like everybody has an opinion about something that you do. One of the things I've learned to do, as a side note, is I remember when I was pregnant, and everybody, everywhere that I went, it could be the store, the grocery store, it could be shopping, it could be at the doctor's office. Somebody had an opinion, wanted to tell me how to do something. So unless a new mom asks me, I really don't share anything. Because again, everybody has an opinion, and when you think about the 30 tons of information that you just received, how do you know which one to pick? So naysayers are the same one. They are everywhere. There's always going to be someone that doesn't necessarily understand your walk, that doesn't agree with how you're carrying out your walk, or how you're doing your walk. And so I've learned, as I've learned to love myself, as I've learned to identify myself with God and not just with Renee King, the name. I've also learned to not embrace the opinions of others. And I don't have to apologize for who I am. And so because I don't have to apologize, I stand unapologetically flat-footed on the choices that I've made. And so because people don't understand, I don't expect them to understand. But I also let them know that, hey, that's your choice, that's your decision. You do what you want to do it when it comes to raising your kids, or how you do your walk, or, when I first moved to Baltimore, it was huge because the singles will always go out to dinner after church on Sundays. And this was a lot of the churches. So we go out to dinner in different restaurants and things like that. And this was the first time that I saw Christian circles with a lot of folks drinking. I mean, not just having a glass of wine or something like that. I'm talking about they're tossing them back. And so, so the old Renee would have been like, oh, they shouldn't be drinking. They're hypocrites. They're this and that. Let me tell you something. Everybody has to work at their own soul salvation. I have chosen to learn how to pray for people. And so I would ask naysayers, you really feel that you disagree with me so much about my choices, why don't you pray for me? Why don't you pray for me? Instead of just, coming at me or attacking me and things like that. A lot of times what you hear about naysayers, what you hear coming from their mouths, usually isn't face to face. It's usually through someone else. It's usually through gossip. Oh, so-and-so said such and such about you. And so usually a lot of times what you heard is not necessarily what was released from that person's mouth. And so I don't have time to listen to somebody telling me what someone said about me. I just let them know, hey, you don't have to report anything to me at all. Feel free to keep it to yourself. I don't want to know about it. I don't want to change. So, and the reason why I do that is because I don't want to change my opinion of that person. So even if they're talking about me, however I feel about that person, I don't want to change my opinion about that person. Even if they're talking about me, even if they're stabbing me in the back. I want to trust wholly in God so that I can respond to the person the way God wants me to, and not the way Renee wants to. Because I can do a clapback. I'm good at that. I got a PhD in clapback. However, am I clapping back for the right reasons? And if I'm doing it out of self, then I'm doing it all wrong. So naysayers are always going to be there. They're always going to have questions. They're always going to think that they have the answers and you don't. And that's okay. While I'm figuring this thing out, you just continue to pray for me. If I'm making a mistake when I'm doing, you just go ahead and pray for me. So keep your naysaying to yourself, but go ahead and just pray. Feel free to pray for me, because I feel that's more powerful than you giving me your time.
Mynisha J. Rogers, minister, entrepreneur, and author of the Healing Network book states, the key to believing, receiving, and maintaining our healing is found in our network, which consists of the FAR principle: faith, action, and relationships. She reminds us that God still heals. He healed before, He is healing now, and He will heal again. So now is the time to believe, receive, and maintain your healing. Get your copy today.
I feel like I've had a ton of distractions. And I say that because if something tends to distract me, I just remove myself. I remove my focus. And I feel like that's the only thing that I can do. And so in terms of distractions, I don't feel like There are many. But I will say that dating can be a distraction in terms of your purpose. Because your heart starts to get involved, your feelings start to get involved, and when that happens, it tends to throw you off purpose. If you're choosing to live in purpose, when I say live in purpose, I mean being focused on what God has given you to do in this season of your life. And so relationships can really distract you. It can get you off focus, get you off your grind, especially if you were to get hurt, right? But the only thing that I can do is to remove my focus from things that distract me and to realign myself with my purpose, with my calling, with what God has for me to do in this season. That's the only thing I can do, is to not give it my attention, my attention.
I really haven't faced any distractions. I do have some habits I wish I could break. I'm working on. I watch too much TV, and I play a lot of games on my cell phone, and that takes up time that I could better spend, doing other things that would be more productive. I think a lot of it has to do also with COVID, being home, being isolated. And so I tend to entertain myself with that and listening to music.
I really feel like I feel societal pressure to date, the societal pressure to be with someone, but I deal with those societal pressures by finding other things to do with my time and to continue to wait, because for me, waiting is my way of honoring God with my life. So I'm going to continue to wait.
Oh my gosh, distractions. When I don't focus, when I'm focusing on the things of the world, like the things you see, social media, of course, TV, and sometimes my past can be a distraction when things don't go as planned for me, and it bears heavy on me, especially the past. Although I know that's not who I am, it doesn't define me, but it really it just stands out for me. So getting over that still kind of is a big distraction, but I just have to remember to stay focused, which can sometimes be hard, but I have to stay focused, stay centered.
While you're waiting, the distractions of just people, other women. While you're waiting, if you have a girlfriend, or if you don't have one, if you do have one, then don't. And the question was, while I'm waiting, my waiting now is just like working on those things that I need to strengthen. The distraction is everything: TV, cell phone. Let's just say, people in their minds could be dating somebody in Hollywood that don't even know that they got a crush on them. So technology distraction is a real event. When you're looking at beautiful women on the internet, not necessarily nude, just the means that you look at people and build these, build that, we call it I don't know if we call them fantasy crush, or somebody you really, really like. They don't know you. Like, we had them when we was younger. Like, well, who's your girlfriend? Like, who would you want to date? Oh, you throw this name out of a superstar, knowing that it's probably never happened, and they could be your childhood sweetheart, fantasy actress, personality, whatever. That's real. That lives in the minds of people. And so and then even to the technology now that we get to pursue people online, through Instagram and Facebook and Twitter and TikTok and all the things like that. You really gotta stay on track and not get distracted. Again, because these things can easily grab your eyes. We live in a world where, again, the attention of the eye, the sight, the ears, the mouth, so the voice, the technology, the videos, colors, music, all that pulls us in. It pulls you in just like this, and before you know it or not, you going off track. So you have to also know when I'm going on the means of media or technology, or if I'm going on the street, I'm not gonna let pretty women distract me, or too many hellos, or you cute, you're fine, or whatever the case. You have to automatically set your mind when you get up in the day, depending on what you're working on. Because again, I want to make sure enough time is going to my family, my books, the thing that's going to help propel me as a person or make me better as a person. I want to make sure that gets enough time deposit. Some people try to cash out on time deposit, or try to cash out on things that they don't have a deposit in. If you don't put a deposit of time in things, you're not going to be able to pull a withdrawal back from it. No more than if you don't put money in the bank, you can't go and ask for a withdrawal that's never been deposited. And with that being said, that's how I feel about that.
So happy you asked. Blast from the past. I can honestly give you a situation that just recently happened to me. Maybe about a month ago, I got a text message from this individual who I haven't spoken to or seen in over 10 years. And this was a guy that I really liked. And I said, he's texting, what's happening right here? I was really confused, but I was also excited because I'm like, all right, God is doing something right now.
So a lot of distractions that I face while I'm choosing to wait are what we started out with, and that was the beginning, talking about, the whole time. Did I miss that time? Is it too late for me to get married? Is it too late for me to have a good relationship? Am I too old for this? What do I look like as a 60-year-old bride? So that can get you distracted, because once you start going down that lane, that road, that path, now you're taking your eyes off the promises of God. Now you're taking your eyes off of God in his totality. And that could be dangerous. So another distraction is a lot of times the enemy will send you that fine dude who means you no good. And so that's a distraction if you're entertaining that when you know that's not your season right now. And this person's not even, they don't even click with you, but you are enjoying the companionship. You're enjoying the fact that somebody's calling you. You're enjoying the fact that, there's a male person out there that is calling you, wanting to spend time with you, and that's a distraction. So how do you deal with those distractions? Again, you got to stay in the Word. You got to stay in the Word. You got to really fill yourself up with God's presence. And so a lot of times people are like, well, I read the Bible. I get it. You do read the Bible. But what I mean by staying in the Word is really about staying in the presence of God. And that is incorporating him in everything that you do throughout the day. So if it's, some people believe that God tells them what to wear and not to wear, and I'm not knocking that. But I choose to, when I'm driving, I'm always talking to God. When I'm making decisions, I'm always talking to God. Okay, God, I got to make a decision about this. You got to let me know if I'm making the right or wrong decision. And so we do that with everything else. But when it comes to that dating, we don't give God the same diligence. We don't. I really don't think. And so it's hard to get distracted when you're so focused on God. And then here's this gentleman that comes along, that smells the right way, looks the right way, is talking the right way and everything else and stuff. But is he the right one? And so we really don't say it initially. So we either say initially and size him up, do all the check marks. He's got this, he's got this, he's got that. So of course he passes. But what if he doesn't pass? What if he doesn't pass? You're already doing the sizing up instead of asking God. And that discernment right there helps me to deal with distractions. So I know when I'm off my game is when I'm lacking that discernment that I need.
back in alignment with my values. I bring my awareness to myself in regards to this is what God wants me to do right now in my life in this season, and I get back on purpose. I get back in alignment, and sometimes that is hard because there are some times when distractions are great. There are some times when distractions feel good, and sometimes you want to be distracted because being in alignment, being on purpose, sometimes it can be boring, sometimes it can be humdrum. It's not as exciting, right? Especially depending on your personality type. So getting back on track requires a great deal of effort for me, but it's worth it.
I handle distractions by staying focused on the Lord. When I sense that something is trying to divert my attention to go left, I pray to the Lord and say, is this of you? Or should I pay attention to this? Or I will just remain focused on the Lord. And usually I hear from Him. He lets me know that to remain focused on Him, keep my sights on Him. Do not look to the left or to the right, but remain focused on Him. And that alleviates a lot of that distraction.
I think for the most part, I handle distractions by praying and finding something else to do. Just really staying busy to not give in to the distractions, whether that's reading a book or calling a friend or watching a movie or writing. I journal a lot, so writing, just doing something else to not give in to the distractions.
I handle distractions by I have to keep myself centered. I have to remember what the purpose is, what the outcome, the plan that God has for my life. So I read a lot, I study, I spend a lot of time with God. I speak a lot of, I like to see a lot of quotes of positivity, especially in my home, in my workspace, just to remind myself and speak things to myself and to others. People come and things can happen to get you off balance, get you off track. But I have to remember, I have to stop in that moment. It's like, I know that there's a purpose for this. I know that He's watching me. I know there's a purpose behind all this, and I have to trust that purpose. Get back on track. It's going to be okay. Even if I fall off, just get back on. I have to just get back on.
The way I handle distraction is being true to myself. Most people will continue to lie to themselves, don't know why they do it. You have to identify what is the distraction. What is distracting me? I believe distraction brings on procrastination. I believe distraction brings on, you're supposed to arrive at your place of destiny at a certain time. It's not gonna make that an appointed time. You're gonna be lagging and behind time in some things that you should have done in this season of your life. Some people get distracted and they walk in procrastination, and the things never get done that needs to get done. So you have to make sure, even with dating, that someone does not become a distraction. Another person that you ain't supposed to be dating. So some people kicking with people know that they'll never be a husband or wife. It's a friend, and they just know I'm wasting time. Well, I've said to myself, before I let a person become that distraction, the next person I date is moving towards marriage. If I'm gonna invest any time in movie, dinner, or anything that we're out, public, or whatever the case may be, for my girlfriend, fiance, it's gonna be moving towards the marriage. So that's kind of where my head is at, so that I won't get distracted and I won't be. Let's just say this: we've heard the new term entanglement. I don't want there to be no unnecessary entanglement. When I'm with somebody else's gonna be wife, and she's with somebody else gonna be husband. I don't want to, even with the soul ties and the energy, or the energy of our emotions and stuff being tied into this thing. Now we've moved on, but I'm still carrying her in my brain. OJ's had a song out years ago that, your body is here with me, but your mind is on the other side of town. You're messing me around, and you want that person there physically with you, mentally, emotionally. Those things are important. So, with that being said, you have to identify what the distraction is, and then you have to almost not, have put in a category. I'm not gonna let it distract me, and that could be depending on what it is. That could be a lot of hurt emotions. That could be somebody feeling kind of, oh, you don't call me no more, you don't do this or that. When somebody's just a distraction, it could be a friend, it could be a family member, it could be a lot of stuff. And especially when it pertains to dating, if you got the wrong person, you definitely don't want them to become a distraction. Or if you feel like that person's not going to be the end game or end goal, a goal of what you're trying to accomplish. But some of us know on the first dates, the first month of this person, whether they're going to probably be in your life or not. And I think too many of us, we aim a little lower than we should. We accept things and try to convert people to be what they're not. We try to make people what they're not. We try to tell myself and tell ourselves that we can change people. You can't change it. Can't retrain wrong. You can retrain people if they're pliable, if they want to learn. In most cases, people are gonna be grown. People are gonna be grown, and they're gonna do what they have learned up to this point. And it could be a piece of work to try to retrain somebody, or to get them to think like you do and respond the way you respond. It's just a lot of work. And so being distracted, identify that distraction, and don't let nobody become that. Again, just put it aside, and you may have to, stop calling, ignore. You may have to do a lot of things, and it's not pretty, especially if it's not healthy towards your future. If it's not healthy towards your future, don't you apologize for your life. Your life is the most valuable life living. If you don't learn to care for yourself and love you, I don't think nobody else will do it for you. So there has to be some not selfish elements there, but there has to be a self-care, self-love. Love your neighbor as you love yourself. Most of us can't love our neighbor because we don't love ourselves. But that's the part we miss in that piece of that scripture. You have to love you first, and not unapologetically love yourself, and then put the distractions aside. Move forward towards those things that are going to help you, and let the distraction be what it's going to be, but not distracting you when in regards coming towards your destiny.
I fast, I pray on the situation. So in this situation with the individual who lasted from the past, I said, okay, God, I know he's not who you have for me. But if I didn't do the work and grow in where I'm at right now, I would have easily said, oh, they say like if he comes back to you, it's meant to be. I would have maybe fell into that trap, or I wouldn't have seen the signs. And I know hands down, he is not for me. And that's a distraction, because had I went into that situation, who he has for me is going to just be delayed, or I may not ever receive that blessing because I got trapped over here. So I fast, I pray. But in this situation, God already gave me the discernment, like, that ain't it. No. And that's it. And it excited me that much more because I do feel that my purpose mate is nearby. Normally I pray for my purpose mate and Lord, please bring him. But this is the first time in these last few months, I really feel that all this preparation, he's coming. And it's still going to be, I'm still learning along the way. And it's not going to be like, oh, I learned all this and now my marriage is going to be perfect. Like, I know it's work. But I feel that I'm better equipped. And I can kind of point out when the enemy is trying. When he's trying, I'm like, just go in the corner, put your hands behind your back, sit somewhere, because that ain't working right there.
Keep the distractions at a minimum. You really have to stay prayed up. You really have to stay girded up. Whatever your weakest areas are, and this is what I always tell women, you have to stand in your truth, whatever that is. I flow prophetically. I can tell some people what their truths are, but if you don't stand in your own truth, you do no help for yourself. So whatever your truth is, your truth might be you love sex. That's your truth. Not knocking you, no judgment here. But if you know that that's your truth, whatever my truth is, not only do I have to stand in it, but that's the area that I need the most protection. And so to stay away from those distractions, I got to stand in my truth with God. I got to make sure that God, these are my weak areas. That dude walks in here with that cologne, with those shoes, and he's got a good job, God, you know that's my distraction. Help me to stay focused on you. And whatever he chooses to, maybe he might not let me see that guy until he's already walking by. Whatever that is. But if I don't stand on my truth and I'm just saying, oh God, help me out with what? You got to be specific with God. You got to give it over to God. And the very things that we're holding on to are the very things that trip us up. It's not him that's tripping me up. It's me not wanting to give over my flaws.
I want to be a part of bringing excellent and compelling content to life. From finding talent as a casting director to producing strong projects for television and film. There's something amazing and beautiful when the casting director can help usher the actor into transforming into a character, helping them to see and be the character, understanding the character's life story without seeing a face because they're the face.
You happy? I thought when I gave myself up, that was enough for you to be happy. But obviously not. Obviously not.
My purpose is a gift from God, and I'm honored and humbled by it. Oprah Winfrey once mentioned that you're doing what you're purposed to do when you can do it for hours on end. I'm excited to be able to live in my purpose and bring Simone Baldwin Productions to serve and deliver.